What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? Stephen Will, Detroit Den 313, Sunday night special, Detroit Lions show. Sit back. We're going to get you geared up for the work week. We're all got to try to get through this. Nobody likes Mondays. Some Detroit Lions football talk hopefully helps. Hammer, hammer, hammer that subscribe button, the like button, any button you can click helps us out a great amount. It's truly appreciated. Will, these next 24 hours are not going to be pleasant for the Detroit Lions. Where do you want to begin?
Hey, listen, bottom line is some people are getting
Yeah, tough. It's
and
tough.
definitely not pulling forward. Definitely don't mean to make a mockery of it. Just trying to keep it light, but just trying to guess who some of these bubble guys who may not make the 53-man roster are.
Yeah, this is tough. I do not envy Dan. I do not envy Brad. I'm sure they've been in Allen Park at the training facility for hours amongst hours and hours and hours. And I told you the other day, there's no pot of coffee that's probably safe while they're staying up late, probably till 2, 3 in the morning, going home for a couple hours, catching a 45-minute nap, and coming right back to the office. Like it's a long night. They're going through everything. Does this player fit in this scheme? Does he play better? Like, there's so much stuff that goes into this. It's not just as cut and dry as a lot of people think. Like, oh, he played bad, cut him. Like, there's some stuff. Are we going to be patient with this guy? I don't even know where you want to begin, Will. Who do you want to start with?
Listen, I say we go straight through the position groups, man, and let's skip through the specials because we know Jake Bates Fox and my man Hatton is going to be the long snapper. So I think we're good there. We can go into the DBs to kick this thing off, Steve. I think Terry and Arnold, DJ Reed, Amik, uh, Avante Maddox, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Rock Yasin are all safe. Would you agree with those guys? So
Yeah.
I'm looking at, and this is where it could get hot. I think that Ian Kennelly and Eric Hallett are going to be practice squad guys, man. That's kind of where I'm looking at. And Ian Kennelly was a hard one for me. I think he's done enough to make a normal roster, but with the Detroit Lions, I think he's going to end up jumping to that practice squad because of the switch of Rock Sin. But he's a bubble guy. It could be close, and I'll explain that a little bit later. How do you feel about Ian Kennelly, Eric Hallett, and then I got Mo Norris and Lorenz Strickland being the casualties?
Yeah, those are four tough names. Ian Kennelly, I feel like makes it to the practice team. So does Eric Hallett. Where I start to wonder is Lauren Strickland. I don't see him making the 53-man roster, but does he make it to the practice squad or does he get claimed? I think there's a small chance the Detroit Lions can keep him. I'll put it at like 25%. They put him on the practice squad and he doesn't get claimed. I don't have all the information on 31 other teams, but I thought he made a strong case, especially the last two preseason games where he played pretty good. Played pretty good. I mean, he was bringing that hit stick, Will, but this is a deep secondary room. DJ Reed, TA, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Dorsey, Amik Robertson. Like, there's a lot of guys that have positions just locked. So to come in and be a guy who's just throwing your name in the mix and hoping to get noticed, I feel like those four guys that you mentioned definitely did that. They definitely put some good tape out there. I was listening to a Dan Campbell interview, and he said, "Hey, just because these preseason games don't mean nothing, this is a job interview, if not for the Detroit Lions, for 31 other teams." So I think that they both have good interview tape out there. So we'll see what happens, but that's a hard one for me. I think those two guys, Hallett, Kennelly, practice squad, Strickland, I hope he makes a practice squad, but I wouldn't be overly shocked if someone claimed him.
Yeah, I dig it. You ready to jump into that linebacker room?
Well, I think that's where it gets tough. Well, that's where the rubbers meet in the road.
Shoot, I feel like it's a no brainer for me. I think we keep six of them. I think we keep obviously Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, and Derek Barnes, and then Grant Stewart, Trevor Nowatzki, and Zach Cunningham. I think the casualty there is going to be Anthony Pittman, veteran guy, special teamer. Uh, Hate that for him because I love what he offers on special teams, but I just don't think it's enough to keep him on this roster with some of the other things that are going on that we'll get into probably on the offensive side of the ball and some of these other spots. But I think Anthony Pittman is going to be the casualty in the linebacker room, but we keep six.
So I was just bringing up the roster. So you're keeping six: Jack, Alex, Grant, Derek, Rodrigo, Cunningham. Those are your six, and then the odd man out for you
Trevor
is in Trevor Nowatzki.
Nowatzki.
So is that seven? Well, Rodrigo's on the pup, so he doesn't really take a roster spot until they activate him. So, all right, yeah, I'm just looking at it, trying to do the math here. And Nowatzki, yeah, he's probably the bottom guy for me too. Pittman, Ezekiel Turner, and Deron Gilbert probably waived to the practice squad. I would see all three of those guys potentially making it to the practice squad too. Do you disagree with that?
I don't know. I think Zeke's hurt. Ezekiel's hurt, but I don't know, man. Maybe I can't. I don't know. What do we get? 16, I believe, to that practice squad. It'll
Yes.
depend on how stuff shakes out and who gets cut, and But yeah, maybe is what I'll give.
Defensive line, Will. I think this is another really tricky one. This is probably where your eyes and my eyes have been primarily focused for the preseason. So I know what name's going to come up, but just looking at the depth chart, DJ Reader safe, Ali McNeil safe on the pup, so he won't take up a spot until he gets activated. Hutch, you think Hutch is? You think he's safe, Will, or do you think like we should prepare for something crazy?
He better show out week 1.
I hope there's some people here who thought I was being serious. Yeah, more than likely safe. I mean, he just had a whole training camp where they had to make special rules for him to stop being so disruptive. Tyleik Williams safe, Lopez safe. Here's the names where I feel like it starts to get a little interesting. Is there's a big group of guys here: Mitchell Agude, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Pat O'Connor, Chris Smith, Broderick Martin, Miles Adams, Keith Cooper, Nate Lynn. That's a big list, lots of names. I feel like there's a couple that are for sure safe. I'd probably lean with Al-Qadim Muhammad's making this team. I think Pat O'Connor's making this team, Will, and then I think it starts to get a little shaky. It's kind of a pick your poison, like I was talking about. What do Dan and Brad really value? Do they value stopping the run, stopping the pass? There's so many things that go into these variables that I have no idea what they're thinking. But where's your head at?
My head is Isaac Ukwu, Mitchell Agude, practice squad guys, and then listen. This is where I said it was going to get interesting. Partially, Steve. I don't think we have a 53-man roster to fill. I think we have a 52-man roster to fill because when I talk about the defensive end spot, this is what I see. I see Hutch, I see Davenport, I see Al-Quadi Muhammad, I see Nate Lynn making this roster, and then I got one more guy, Steve. I got a roster spot for one more guy, and that is Zadarius Smith. So when I'm factoring in this 53-man roster, I'm factoring in Zadarius Smith to that roster.
So
I
he
mean, you
signed,
got
huh?
to if you got to if you're expecting him to sign, and we've talked about maybe there's some type of backdoor deal that's already in the book. So you got to factor him in if that's the case. And to me, that's where Broderick Martin loses his spot. When I was kind of just factoring the numbers, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, when I look at that DT room, I'm looking at DJ Reader, I'm looking at Tyleik Williams, Roy Lopez, Pat O'Connor, who's kind of a hybrid guy who can play outside a little bit, Wingo. I'm keeping Keith Cooper and Miles Adams, which makes Broderick Martin the odd man out. Now, if you don't have Zadarius on this roster, there's a world where maybe you can keep Broderick Martin. So
Yeah, I
that's kind of
figure.
where I sit.
Just real quick, I'm bringing this in so people can see and maybe a little visual help. So we'll keep talking through it. But I'm with you, man. I hope you're right. I hope Zadarius Smith is pretty much a done deal. Will I hope there's a handshake offer in place where, hey, training camp preseason's done now. We got 2 weeks to get ready for the Packers. Sign. Let's get you into some football shape, get you up to speed. I think 2 weeks is enough time for a player of his caliber to be ready 2 weeks from now against Green Bay. So I think the competition comes down to Will Miles Adams, Keith Cooper, Broderick Martin. Are those the guys that we're having a hard time with here?
Yes and no. I just feel like, without a doubt, for me, Keith Cooper, Miles Adams, their versatility is something that, and their upside, I feel like, because Miles Adams, I know he's a veteran, but he looked like a new dude this year. And then Keith Cooper, I think we're just scratching the surface of his potential. For those reasons, I feel like you got to keep those two guys. And the fact that you made mention to it a little bit the other day, we have other people that can do what Broderick Martin is supposed to do. I'm not even going to say what he can do yet. He did it in the preseason, but the regular season is a little bit of a different ball game. So with us having guys like Roy Lopez and DJ Reader, it's not really a need to bring in a guy like Broderick Martin or keep a guy like Broderick Martin to be a plug. Those guys can be plugs, and Aleem can come back and offer a little bit of that too, plus pass rush. So I don't think it's a need for those reasons. Broderick is a guy that I see going to the practice squad, but It could easily be maybe you keep one of the two and Keith Cooper and Miles Adams and keep Broderick because he's a little bit different than those two, where those two are kind of a little bit similar in their game. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
I like Keith Cooper because I saw him playing some defensive end. He's versatile. He can do a little bit more than Broderick Martin can. Broderick's just going to come in, play D tackle. He's going to be really, I don't want to say really good, but he showed glimpses of being potentially really good at stopping the run. There were some times where he looked really, really good in the run game. I look at him and I say, well, he wasn't on the team last year, and we were a top 3 defense against the run without him on the field. So I feel like we could do the same things defensively without him. We've proven that to take up a roster spot with a Keith Cooper, 6'5", 280, who's a massive kid and can play two positions. I feel like if that's the battle, if it's between those two for me, it's probably Keith Cooper. I understand there's more invested with Broderick Martin, him being a draft pick versus Keith Cooper being a undrafted free agent. There's so many variables again. But here's the $1 million question. If you cut Broderick Martin, do you think someone else takes a chance on him and claims him and tries to groom him for their team?
If you need a zero tech, man, I don't know why you wouldn't. He's ascending in the right direction. I don't know why you wouldn't take a shot at him.
I'm with you. We moving on to the offense?
Yeah, I like. I was in the O line, man. Looking at yeah, I'm looking at interior first. I'm looking
Okay.
at the guards, the centers. I'm looking at Graham Glasgow, Christian Mahogany, Tate, Kelly Awasika, and Kingsley and Guakin, all safe. Would you contest any of those?
No, definitely not the first three. That's the interior. Those are all essentially rookies. I know Christian, I've said it a million times, but if you're new here, I consider Christian Mahogany still a rookie. He hasn't played 17 games in the NFL. So Mahogany, dirtbag, Glasgow, he's a veteran. Ratledge, rookie. And I was referring to Miles Frazier as the potential. If something were to happen with Graham, if we had to do some shuffling, we could have 3 rookies there. So 2 rookie guards, a veteran center. I'm not contesting that. Penny Sewell, I think he's going to make the team. We're just talking interior, so yeah, I don't have any contesting there. Who was playing most of the reps at backup center? They were talking about it. It was that
Kingsley and Guakin.
Kingsley and Guakin, and I thought I saw Tristan Colon had an injury maybe like a week ago. I don't know the extent of that, so no contestant for me. Will I think we're pretty set on the O line.
I think Nantai Mute, the bench press king, is the one that ends up on the practice squad. Man, he's a veteran. He can play. He's got the dirt band mentality. He caught a couple of bodies during the preseason on guys where he's looking for work and peels back and puts somebody on their butt. But it's just this 52-man roster, and I'm gonna keep saying 52 because Zadarius, you need to come on home. But it's tough. It's tough sailing in here.
I think we're pretty set at the tackle position as well with both of our backups. Dan Skipper, the left tackle, played some left tackle. He was dealing with an injury from the Hall of Fame game, but he's also our swing tackle that we bring in for the jumbo package. Jamarco Jones, I feel like Skip and Jamarco are also pretty safe. Will, would you agree?
I think Jamarco's cut.
You do? Who takes that?
I can see
right
him going
tackle
to the
too.
practice squad, but I think they're going to keep developing Gio, man. I think they're going to keep developing him. I think Jamarco's going to go to the and it's no disrespect to him. I like him, man, but I only got us keeping 4 there, and I think it's going to be Skip and Manu. I think Jamarco is going to be a practice squad guy.
I could see it, and I think Manu played pretty well in the preseason too. I don't think he did anything that was like, oh man, like this guy's a project that's not panning out like some other players we'll probably talk about here. But I know when we first drafted him, there was talks of him playing guard, so I kind of lump him into what's he going to play? We don't know. It'd be great if he could play center, but I know that that's not a realistic option right now. So, yeah, Gio backup. So you have him backing up Penny Sewell with him taking Jamarco's spot. And again, this is a player we don't want to see until next year. Hopefully this whole entire offensive line stays healthy and we don't even have to worry about this. But this is the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I think Gio, he took most of his preseason snaps at left, but I just think, honestly, I don't think Gio's ready, but I think they're going to continue to develop him. I don't think that he was terrible in the preseason, but I think that he definitely showed that he's not consistent enough yet to be trusted, especially with the blind side of our quarterback. But all that said, as long as we don't have too much attrition, I think that we end up developing him for another season. And then if we got to the spot to where we needed him, I think Miles Frazier coming back when he's healthy would probably be ahead of him. As much as I hate to say that, even though Frazier is coming in as a rookie, and and if not, I think we would go get somebody. Not giving up on Gio, but I think he still has some development to do before he's a starting offensive lineman in this league.
Yeah, it's really his second season in the NFL. I mean, I think I can give him at least one more year to see, and I thought he played pretty good this season. So, where do you want to go next, Will?
Let's go to those tight ends, man. Let's go to Lagoda, is good. Brock Wright's good, and then I think the third one is Zilstra. Uh, and Zilstra isn't somebody that I'm overly high on, but he's just exactly what you're gonna get. He's a pro's pro. He's consistent in what he gives you, and there's no guessing about it. So I think he gets that tight end 3. But yeah, I just don't see how those aren't the 3 that we keep.
Here, I'm with you, Will, but let me throw out something because I've been seeing some people even leave some comments on our stuff on our channel and some stuff on Twitter.
Are you about to tell me Tim Patrick at tight end?
I'm not saying I love it. I'm just throwing out what's been put out into the universe, Will. Do you think we could cut Shane Zylstra, and if we had to use a tight end 3, could it be Tim Patrick?
Listen, try to be gentle. For what we require a tight end to do, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a difference between having to block down in and down out defensive linemen and linebackers than it is blocking nickels and blocking corners. Tim Patrick isn't coming into the box, lining up next to one of our tackles and down in and down out. Like, could you imagine a world where next thing you know, Tim Patrick is on somebody like Hutch? Penei Sewell's having a hard time blocking Hutch. What do you think that he's going to do to Tim Patrick? So, I can appreciate where people are coming from a receiving aspect of it. Could he be a receiving tight end? Sure, absolutely. But when we're talking about being in the run game,
3rd and 1,
absolutely not. Yeah, he would get dominated. And for those of you who question what I'm saying, think about guys like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow isn't a small dude. He tried to come in this league when Urban Meyer made his comeback and play tight end, and he was just getting undressed and treated like a child. And he's not a small man. Like a receiver getting put inside of the box is not a thing, I can assure you. So maybe if he takes the off season and he gains about 30 pounds, then maybe it's something that we can talk about. But he's way too light in the butt and way too unprepared to go down into that box, man. These guys are an extension of the offensive line. Oftentimes they do their drills with the offensive line so they can learn the techniques to block. It's not something that's in his wheelhouse. It's absolutely not a thing. I hope I'm not hurting anybody's feelings.
I wanted to ask because I knew you would articulate that much better than me. I'm picturing that when I first pictured this, I said, well, Tim Patrick is not blocking defensive linemen. And for whatever reason, the first player that I pictured him going up against in a blocking situation is a player like Nick Bosa. That is we talk about fighting the fish. I'm sorry, Tim Patrick. I love you as a wide receiver. If I was an offensive coordinator and I saw Tim Patrick playing tight end, I'm putting my best pass rusher on you to come out there and try to block. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, if it's something that can be schemed up to where it's strictly a receiving role, sure. But I don't think cutting St. Zylstra really just guarantees that Tim Patrick is tight end 3. But let's just move into the wide receivers, Will, while we're rolling. Tim Patrick, he's kind of a name that a lot of people are just saying is getting cut. I personally don't think so. Looking at this wide receiver room, St. Brown, J-Mo, my man, Tom Kennedy, I feel like I know what's coming for you, and it hurts me to even think it. The IT department, Isaac Tesla, Jackson Meeks, Malik Taylor, Dominic Lovett, Jacoby Keeney James, Ronnie Bell. You think we're keeping 6, or do you think we're keeping 7, Will?
I think there's a potential that we do keep the 7 because I don't know that Meeks and Lovett get through waivers. And if they truly believe in the upside of those guys, I think that you got to keep them. Even if you think about the longevity of maybe a Dominic Lovett stepping into Khalif Raymond's role, if that's a potential, I think you got to keep those guys. But I could also see trying to get them to the practice squad. Not to be funny, but I think about a guy like Quantez Cephas. Do I think that Quantez Cephas is comparable to a Jackson Meeks? I absolutely do. I think that they could absolutely be similar players. So these two players aren't guys that I think that would be impossible to replace by any means. But you have them in house; they're doing well. I think that for those reasons, you try to keep them here. Maybe to me, it's just hard, man. Because part of me wants to say maybe you play the waivers game with Lovett and see if you can get him through. Because not because he's less of a player than Jackson Meeks, but I just think Meeks had such a good preseason, it might make him a little bit more flashy for teams that are looking to pull a guy in. But I don't know, man. I got to keep both of those guys. I have no issue with Tim Patrick. I love Tim Patrick. We joke around calling him Himothy Patrick, but I do contest the people that are saying that he's uncuttable. Like I just don't believe that we're living in a world where Tim Patrick is uncuttable when you got Isaac Tesla. Like I feel like Tesla is going to take his. If he doesn't take him week one, he's going to take his opportunities over the over this season. The things that you would look for a big body receiver to do is going to be his job to do. If it's not week one, by the middle of this season, I can assure you, as long as Tesla's healthy, he will be the guy doing those things. And for those reasons, I think that Tim Patrick is um there's a potential that we could waive him. There's a potential that we could trade him, and there's just a potential that he could just mentor Isaac and then get his opportunities here and there. Like it's no knock on Tim Patrick, but when people are saying that, oh man, you can't cut Tim Patrick, there's no way. Well, there's absolutely a way. There's only one football, guys. And I don't know if people think that we're going, even though if we keep seven wide receivers, I don't know if they think we're going seven wides or like or what the case is, man. But let's just talk about you having five eligibles. And if okay, you want Amon Ra to be one, right? You want JMO to be one. The whole world is falling in love with Tesla. So okay, you're gonna have a running back. Do you want Laporta out there? So I mean, like I just don't understand this enamorment with Timothy Patrick, but you're also enamored with Tesla. And then it just doesn't make sense for me when we start talking about formationally them all being on the field. I don't know.
I don't think Tim Patrick is uncuttable. I'm just trying, maybe I'm reading too much in between the lines here when I see Tim Patrick practicing healthy, doing all the drills, all the stuff in practice and training camp, joint practices. He's doing it all. Game day comes around and he's not dressing, he's not playing. I feel like that's the writing on the wall that he's making the team. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I just feel like Dan Campbell handles his players better than any other coach. And I feel like if he thought Tim Patrick was on the bubble, he would be playing him in preseason games to audition. I know TP's been around for a while. Teams know what he is. They know what he's going to do. They know what he can't do. But I don't know, Will. Am I off my rocker with that way of thinking that Dan Campbell would take care of his guys and give them some more reps to make another team if he was on the bubble to get cut?
No, I don't think you're off the rocker at all. I think that he does make this roster, but I do also see a world to where he did get a little bit banged up for a little bit. I'm not sure what the extent of that was. And on top of that, he has actual live game film, like recent from last season. It's not even like it's a couple of seasons ago. So if teams need to really know what he is, they can just revert back to that to take a look at that and then have him come in and do a workout. So I think there is a world where he could be a veteran that just gets signed by another team or another team is interested in trading for him based upon what they saw from him last season and maybe him coming in and doing a workout. But all in all, I do think that he makes this roster. I was just confused by people that are saying that, yeah, there's no way you can cut Tim Patrick. I just don't agree with that.
I feel like if Dan Campbell goes another route and it's six people, I think it's going to be Tim Patrick who probably gets cut. But I just don't think that that's where they're leaning. But I don't know. We'll find out in a couple days. Running back room. I think Gibby's safe. I think Montgomery's safe. Craig Reynolds listed as running back 3 on here. So I think the conversations between Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki, and Jacob Sailors. Who do you like out of those 3?
Sione Vaki makes this team. It's not even a thing, just even based off of special teams alone. But I will say this, and maybe it's a hot take. As I was going through making this 52 man, and I'm going to continue to say 52 because I am speaking Zadarius Smith as a lying into existence. But uh There was a world where I took a strong look at Craig Reynolds. Ultimately, I ended up keeping him, but it would not blow my mind if things got so tight that we had to let go of Craig Reynolds because of Sione Vaki's ability to be able to be running back 3. So if you believe that Sione Vaki can be running back 3, now you're really talking about keeping 4 running backs, and is the juice worth the squeeze. Now, when we go into this 7 receiver thing, there's going to have to be a casualty somewhere. Do you want to keep Craig Reynolds, or do you want to keep that 7th receiver? Do you want to keep Craig Reynolds, or do you want to keep that extra D lineman? Like it's really something that you really got to take a strong look at, Steve. So ultimately, I think Craig does end up skirting by and making this team, but I took a strong look at him. Do you think I'm nuts for taking a strong look at Craig?
No, and I think you're right. I mean, it would surprise me a little bit if he got cut, but I know I've used this reference before. You know, Dan Campbell turned into him against the Rams game in the playoffs, and at 4th and 1, and they gave him the football. That was 2 years ago. All right, this is could be a what have you done for me lately? I have a lot of guys that have really played, practiced, and had some good game film out there, like Jacob Sailors. Vaki's safe. I have no doubt about that. At least as a special teamer. But if I think I'm choosing between Craig Reynolds and Sailors, I think for me it's Craig. Craig safe, and Jacob Sailors I think auditioned well. I can see him getting picked up by another team. Hopefully makes a practice squad, but I wouldn't bet on that one. So yeah, Craig Reynolds, man, he's just kind of been like that old battle axe you could just kind of count on, you know, like we don't really need you, but if we get into a situation where we do, I feel pretty good about the situation we would be in. So if something happens to Demo and Ja, and Craig Reynolds has to be the guy, I'm comfortable with that. I don't want to be in that boat, but yeah, I think Craig Reynolds is safe, and I think Jacob Sailors, man, I thought a couple weeks ago, Will, there's no way he makes the team, and here we are making a case for him. I can see it. He's got some burst. He's got some acceleration that I really like. But I just feel like having a running back room that has Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery has already taken up 2 seats at the table. So I feel like he was just up against it, but he was very, very impressive.
Steve,
I don't even know if I want to go down this next road, Will. It's a bumpy one. It's not going to be fun.
There's an elephant in this
first and foremost, first thing I notice is how is Hendon Hooker listed as quarterback 2 on this list? I don't know when this was probably written or typed up before training camp really got underway. So, William, elephant in the room, Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yep. Oh, you're just gonna flip this and make me go first. I see what you did there. But I don't mind it. First things first, I'll speak to some of my ignorance. I was not aware of what the emergency quarterback rule looked like. So I did a little bit of light poking at that as we were sitting here talking, and I thought that the emergency quarterback might not count against the 53-man roster. As I'm looking at it and I'm reading it right now, my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, or Steve, if you know, the emergency quarterback does need to be on the active 53-man roster, or 52 if we're taking that spot away for Za'Darius. I'm going to keep doing it, guys. I'm going to keep speaking it into existence. But the 48-man active game day roster, that emergency quarterback doesn't. Yeah, the quarterback doesn't count against that game day roster. So for those reasons, Hendon does have to make this 53. And Steve, I'll speak to something, and you let me know if I'm nuts, Steve. A team that we've mentioned, and I'm sure that there's going to be more, so we may end up doing a show on it, but I'll just go with what I saw today. Tyler Huntley was cut today, and I immediately asked myself, would I rather have Tyler Huntley or would I rather have Hendon Hooker? And I'm not a huge fan of Tyler Huntley, but I would much rather have him than Hendon Hooker in that QB room. I would much rather it be.
Are you nuts?
You would.
I would rather have Tyler Perry in my quarterback room than Hendon Hooker. Tyler Huntley all damn day.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. So it's what the bottom line for me is, if you got to make this 53-man roster and there's no backdoor way to get you on the team outside of putting you on the practice squad, I think the best case scenario for Hendon to be in Honolulu Blue in my eyes is them two attempt to put him on the practice squad, see if he clears waivers, and then he gets on the practice squad and stays. Outside of that, I just don't see Hendon as doing enough or has done enough to make this 53-man roster. I would rather keep any of the bubble positions that we talked about. And we're talking about maybe keeping that extra receiver or that extra D lineman, because Hendon is not going to be the answer if we get into any quarterback trouble this season. We will go out and sign a dude like Kurt Warner bagging groceries before we will put Hendon Hooker out there. I don't care what Coach Campbell says, trying to be polite. It's just not a thing right now. Not saying the dude's career is doomed, and I'm not trying to be doomy and gloomy, but he has just not done enough to make this 53-man roster in my eyes. I've tried to be nice about it. I tried to give him every single chance, but I messed around and just rewatched the film from preseason, and it looked worse than I thought that it looked. So, and I already thought that it looked pretty bad. So, not trying to be disrespectful, but we got to do what's best for our team. Steve, in my eyes, I believe that that's going out to get a different quarterback or signing one of those extra pieces to the roster. Are you sitting in the same boat, or would you like to see Hendon Hooker as QB3? Because I won't even get into the conversation of him being potentially QB2.
William, I'm good with cutting Hendon Hooker. Okay, I was very hopeful when we drafted him. I was skeptical because I said this is an older quarterback with knee issues who played in a system designed for quarterbacks to just chuck it. I compared it the Tennessee offense similar to why Ohio State quarterbacks never succeed in the NFL, because it's just line up a crazy athletic wide receiver as far out as you can and throw it as far as you can, or dominate in the trenches with the run game. It's just the system he was in at Tennessee was not beneficial for him coming to the NFL. He had Jalen Hyatt, like he had some crazy athletes on that team at Tennessee, and coming here, he has crazy athletes. It's a different system. He's not a pocket quarterback that goes through his progressions, can look off his first read, get to his second read, get to his third read fast enough, and then make a good decision. His ball security is a problem. He gets jittery legs where he wants to use his athleticism and take off in the pocket and try to make something out of nothing. Well, I think he's been welcomed to the NFL too many times where he's seeing that everyone in this league is big, everyone is fast, everyone knows how to hit, everyone knows how to hit hard. All right, that's why he had a concussion. That's why I'm shocked he didn't get a concussion, and I'm not rooting for that, against the Chargers in that preseason game where he was trying to make a play and he got knocked on his ass and landed on his head. I feel like I can get more from a player who's going to eventually rotate in by keeping an extra defensive lineman, an extra wide receiver, an extra linebacker, and those are guys that I think will eventually get on the field. I cannot have Hendon Hooker come onto a football game or onto a field during a football game where it means something and feel comfortable. Kyle Allen, I'm not 100% comfortable, but I feel like he made a case during the preseason that, hey, if this is a 4-game stretch, if Jared Goff has to miss some time, I could come in and I can go 3-1 in a 4-game stretch, 2-2 at worst. Hendon Hooker, well, I don't know if we win a single game with him with all the talent we have here, because I'm just going to load up the box, try to play some man-on-man on some wide receivers and make Hendon Hooker beat me. I don't think he can do that. So, in my opinion, good luck to you in the future, Hendon Hooker. Hope to see you do something positive, prove me wrong on another team, but I feel like there's more value for some other positions to be kept instead of quarterback 3.
Agreed. We're in the same boat. The last thing that I'll say is, speaking of Kyle Allen, I think Kyle Allen, what he showed me throughout the preseason is if he needs to step in and play, he won't be the reason why we lose. He can run the offense.
That's all I need him to do.
That's all we need him to do at that point. Like, what do you expect from a backup quarterback? If you have 2 quarterbacks that can start in the NFL, you're in a special situation. You're in a special situation. I mean, if you got 2 studs, I mean 2 stars. Your backup quarterback needs to be a guy who can just run the offense and keep you afloat. And I think that Kyle Allen could do that, especially with all the weapons that we have. Hats off to him for the preseason that he had. I think that he was a bit of an underdog when he came in.
He stole the job. Yeah. Well, I will say he did steal it, because Hendon Hooker shit it away, but you can't look at Kyle Allen's numbers and say he doesn't deserve it. Like, if you wash out that Canton, Ohio game, the Hall of Fame game, Kyle Allen had a really damn good preseason. Like, he was making some throws. Like, everyone talks about Isaac Tesla making great catches. Well, Kyle Allen's put that ball in a position for where only he could catch it. And I think that's going a little bit unnoticed. I think he came in here and he absolutely stole a job. I thought week 1 of preseason, I said Kyle Allen's going to be a cut casualty. He's here to audition, but look at him now. He's our backup quarterback and don't want to see him. But if he comes into a game, I'm more comfortable with him than Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, facts.
Anything else for tonight, Will?
No, I'm just I'm watching as these cuts unfold. I'm looking for certain guys to maybe be casualties. I think that as we went through our 53 man or 52 man, let me keep speaking it into existence. I do think that there is going to be some guys, maybe 1 or 2, that are actually on our 53 that are on a different team. So keep an eye out for that.
Quick question, quick answer. Give me a date Zadarius Smith gets signed by the Detroit Lions.
Tomorrow.
All right. You heard. I hope you're right, Will. Hey, if you see that FaceTime coming through, you know what happened. Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.